Page 28, my faith looks up to thee. At the beginning, notice the key signature, the 4 sharps. This is an E major. If you're not familiar with E major, I suggest you go do my video on the E major scale and on the E major arpeggios. So it kind of gets you accustomed to the key. All right, that will help you on these 4 sharps because it's an F sharp, a C sharp, a G sharp, and a D sharp. Those 4. Except for those 4, everything else is natural. Melodies in the right hand. Hands will move around a little bit. Follow the fingering they've got, it's fine. I want to point out the left hand in the second line, second measure. You're starting with a half note B, there's a thumb on it. And then for the F sharp, A sharp, it's 4-2. That's a good fingering. In the last measure of the second line, you have this chord, the E chord, the 1 chord, going to the 4 chord. So if you know your primary chords, these are simple. The pedaling is legato throughout. I would still like to hear a little break between the phrases, so I would not legato pedal between the phrases. And we have a little problem in that. I like to hear a break between the phrases, but when they use short phrases, it gets choppy, and that's bleh. So we have to kind of think, okay, do we want it to be choppy, or do we want it to have the phrases out, or do we want to, and so I have to look at the words. I think, okay, if I'm going to say the words, where do I put breaks in when I say it? And that can help me on where to put breaks in when I play the music. So at the beginning, my faith looks up to thee, thou Lamb of Calvary. Is that really 2 phrases, or can I combine that into 1? See, they've got every 2 measures as a phrase here, and I'm concerned that could be a little choppy. Maybe not. Maybe it's okay. So when you do this, you might consider combining some of these phrases into 1. I'm going to play it just like it's written, and I'm going to put a break between each phrase. So it's basically almost every 2 measures we get a break, more or less, until you get down to the end. To have a certain style of pedaling in there is kind of helpful. Now in the second line, the first 2 measures, the pedaling, they're showing the pedal comes up after you play the first notes in the second measure of that line. In the second line, that connects it, makes it legato. I'm going to put a break in there because it's marked as a separate phrase. So I'm going to lift the pedal up with the fingers. But when you get down to the third line, second and third measures, that's all 1 phrase in there. So I would leave the pedal down until I play the notes in the third measure. So it's this, starting with the second measure, it's this way. So right after I play the first in the third measure, then I lift the pedal up and leave it up because you don't need it for that measure. Same thing going on in the last measure of the third line going into the first measure of the fourth line. Pedals down, and then I change it, the pedal. I lift the pedal up right after I play the notes in the first measure of the fourth line. So it's here. That connects it, but we don't need the pedal down for the first measure until we get to here, and then it's legato pedaling. And then I will lift it up to put a break before I go to the amen. You don't have to, you can connect it if you want. It's up to you how you do the pedaling pretty much in this piece. You can experiment and see what you think. I would not make it legato throughout. We need some contrast. You don't need pedaling in these measures where they don't mark pedaling, because that will just make it mushy. Look at the second line, second measure. If I pedal that and I change pedal on the third beat, I don't need that. nice contrast between having the pedal down all the time. And the last line, the first measure. The pedal is coming up right after you play those notes. Now you have a whole note in the left hand, so you got to hold that down for the whole measure, the left hand, right? But the right hand, crossing over to the G sharp. If you can do the G major scale, that's not a problem, because that's the fingering for it anyway. And then on the last note, right after you play the E, you put the pedal down. But keep in mind the left hand has been down this whole time. So just, you're here. So between the left hand holding it down and the right hand doing something and the pedal doing its own thing, you got to work all that out. 4/4 time, I'll give you 4 counts. Let's play this together slowly. I put the metronome at 70. I think we can do 70. So, hands are in E position. Foot's on the pedal, here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. 2, 3, 4. 4 off.